Prophet Marchello, Currence back at it. All right. So we're back in the flow. Thank you for all my supporters. Thank you for all the people that support me right now. Thank you for all the people that's reaching out and sending your comments. If I can't comment on your messages, it's because it's not letting me do it, like some spam type of situation. So don't take it personal. My email is CurrenceMarchello@yahoo.com. Currence Marchello. It's my name backwards. Or you could do Marchello Currence 2 at yahoo.com. Either one or the other. This video is going to be about why no one's supporting the prophet. Everybody know by now who I am. Everybody know. They know because of spiritual manifestations, things I can't help. Like, I'm not trying to go out there and spread my fame. I'm not out here trying to get a name per se. But just like when Jesus Christ told people not to tell people what happened, like far as his miracles, they couldn't help it. They still told people. And so in this manner, without even doing videos, people have seen the spiritual manifestations of things that has happened to the Americans for playing with me, playing in my face. And so people know that I'm credible spiritually. They know that I get manifestations. They know that with the right amount of money, I can change this whole situation. It's people that I know for sure know that, because the gang stalkers have been stealing my money. They've been stealing my offerings. Okay? So, they've been stealing my offerings and trying to prevent my money. So what would you think if you was me, and what should you think as you? They've been stealing my money, and that means that what I'm doing has been perceived as effective to the ops, to the enemies. And so it's people that I know besides that group of people that know it works. There's another group of people that they know it works, but they're afraid of the whole community falling apart, so they don't support. But yet they kind of act like they're here, and we want to kind of get rid of people like that. If you know I'm effective, but you don't support because you don't want everything to fall apart, you don't want the world to fall apart, you don't want America to fall apart, you don't want it to go as far as it has to go, but you call yourself supporting me. We don't want that kind of support. We don't want that. We don't want that kind of visual report, kind of traffic coming to the YouTube page. None of that. I don't want none of that, because you see that it's effective. What I'm doing, the fasting, the giving offerings, the manifestations, the spiritual manifestations, things you can't make up, that happens while I'm fasting. That's why I show people. I told people, watch what happens when I fast. I told y'all this a long time ago, and every time I fast and come off a fast, there's major things that happen. Like this time, the biggest win we got out of this fast was the trade war with America and Canada. That was the biggest win out of my 10-day fast. As you can see on my page, I did a 10-day fast. I say humbly. And the biggest manifestation we got out of it was the trade war between America and Canada. Okay? That's the biggest win. Once I got that win, that was it. That was good for me. Because now that's an ongoing war. You see what I mean? That's an ongoing war, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. I think they already said the toilet paper has been taxed by Canada. So it's already effective on both sides, and that's a huge win for those who are opponents of America, those who are in spiritual warfare for America, like me, like against America, like me, so that happened during my fast. That they had a chance to um make negotiations with the Americans, and it was not successful. And I was fasting during that time, and I was asking God that His will be done, concerning that situation. And the deal didn't go through, and the tariffs are effective against the Canadians, and the Canadians are sending tariffs against America. So that's the biggest spiritual win I got out of this last fast. If you don't know, every time I fast, I get big wins. That's why I pay the price. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. When you fast big, you get big wins. And that's the biggest win. Then there was other things that happened in the news. You know what I'm saying? That I mean, if you want to go back and look for yourself, start at let me see, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25. Okay, go back to August 15th and just look at the news from August 15th to August 25th, and you will see all the stuff that happened in between that time. They put a bounty on Donald Trump's son's head. That just happened yesterday. I mean, all this is escalation. This is what I'm talking about. Iran, there's things, they went through, America putting the tariffs on Iran. These are all spiritual manifestations for my fast. Now, if you think I'm crazy, then just go away. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got to do. You ain't got to be here. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to sit here and try to evaluate me and diagnose me. Okay? I'm spiritual. They always going to think spiritual people are crazy or off or slow or whatever. Simple, whatever. But we're just very innocent and bright and spiritually powerful. Now, for those who know that it works, you can see what's going on. You can see that when I fast, the prophet. Now, the prophet's fast is different. If you don't esteem me as a prophet, I can't help you with that. Okay, but if you do, my fast is different from the average person's fast, and I say that respectfully. When I fast, things change worldwide. Okay, that's what I want you to know. I can't dumb down. I can't be a lower caliber. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff you can't make up. So when you see me fast, from now on, moving forward, I want you to pay attention to the news attentively day by day. If you are truly a follower, if you truly are trying to stack this information up and make it applicable to your life, and you're writing notes, and you're really diligent about trying to glean something from this channel, what I want you to do additional to that is go look at the news and be attentive to the news in the current affairs that's going on in the world as I'm fasting, as you see the prophet fasting. It's always manifestations, and then you could look and see no manifestations after the fast or before the fast. Stuff you can't make up. So go Google the news, breaking news from August 15th to August 25th, and you're going to see a string of news and things that happen. Like, where do I start, man? Like, this is a real spiritual war, and like, no one's off limits in America as far as us fasting against this country, as far as us using spiritual weapons against this country. None of their community is off limits, period. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically it. Now, your level of spirituality might be different from mine. Nobody's off limits over here. And so when I fast against this entire whole community. You know what I'm saying? And I've been getting spiritual results. It's I want you to understand, if you're new to seeing me and you don't know who I am, like I've said before, I'm born in Charlotte, North Carolina. Um, I'm a very spiritual person. I get spiritual manifestations. It's not a game. I'm a real prophet because I had real prophecies and there was real manifestations according to those prophecies. That's what makes me a prophet. If you think I'm perfect or holy, if your corny idea of what a prophet is, as far as the average day American, it's not reality. Okay, a prophet is never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be, you know, this excellent, this perfect person. This extremely 100% perfect person. But I am living for God. I am definitely living for God for sure, right? You know what I'm saying? I know that it's people that know I am effective. I know that it's people that fear my spirituality. I know that it's people that fear these manifestations that they see in my life alone, right? And I know that they have singled me out as a person that gets spiritual manifestations in your country. That's what I know. I know it's people that know I'm spiritually effective. I know that it's people that know I get spiritual manifestations. Now, the secondary people to those people are not people that oppose me. The first group of people know I'm effective, but they found out. They played with me and found out. That's how they found out, right? They played with me, right? That's how they found out I was effective. The second group of people is the main group of people I'm talking about. This group of people didn't really play in my face, but they seen I was effective the same way the first group seen I was effective. This second group wants things to change. They want things to get better. They know they wish these people that are gang stalkers would be put to death, but they're not willing to support. And the reason why they're not willing to support is because they fear that the whole community will be gone. And that's basically the basis of this video. Because the second group represents almost like an everyday person that will see my situation for what it is and see me for who I am and see the whole situation for what it is, at least here in America. And they will decide to not support because they don't want to see everything go up in smoke. So my point of this video is that I'm showing you that it's people that know I am effective even more than you might know. And I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but I'm not the average person that's been gang stalked. Like, I'm not that average person. I got spiritual manifestations. They picked a fight with me and I won. And now it's this ongoing game that might be a little more intense than the game that you're going through if you're being gang stalked. In my situation, I got to speak for me. They see that I have spiritual manifestations after they played with me in my city, in America, and because they put a greater effort against me, America became the enemy. And they see every time they play with me and every time I fast and seek God and give offerings, they see things happen in the community of America, the same community that tried me. So that's what separates me. And mind you, I'm a prophet of God. So basically how you need to hear it is these gang stalkers play with a prophet of God. After that, I got spiritual manifestations. I got true spiritual manifestations that the whole community seen. They seen me. They seen this from New York. New York didn't even want any smoke. And New York is like the toughest town to prove anything to. And so when I went up there as a prophet, I had to go through all kind of stuff, with just people just challenging me, seeing who I am, trying to see who I am. And they found out. They messed around and found out, just like the first group. But, for those who kind of see who I am and they kind of agree with me, they fall right into the perspective of the second group. We're going to be talking about two groups. The first group is the group that played with me and found out. Right? And they know I have manifestations and they're fearful about it. That's why they're stealing my offerings, my church offering. Right? That I sent to California back in May. They stole it. The Americans set it up for it to be stolen. Okay. The second group is a group that really kind of agrees with me, and they see I get manifestations, but they don't want to support me even though they could, because if they give me enough money, they know I'm gonna end this whole community. Now you see why I'm doing this video, because it's people that act like they want to support me out here in the community. But the reason why you don't, because you don't want to see spiritual manifestations against the entire community. Now you see why I did it. Because it eliminates the foolishness of these people who talking about they want things to change. We want these people dead, but they just sitting around, and they basically get put in the category of the first group of people. Because really, I mean, how much you think I'm gonna tolerate some people talking about they want things to change, but you just sitting around watching me, right? But you have it in your power to change things, and you know it, but you're scared of the full throttle of the manifestations that could happen in this situation. Man, it's people right now that know I'm credible, man. Listen, I done been in New York. I done been all around to California, everywhere. It's people that know I'm credible. It's people that know I manifest. They're watching anyway, attentively. And some of y'all ain't, but the people that's smart, that's the ops, they watching and seeing the manifestations. They see it. They want to prevent it. While those who act like they're on my side, you're little to no help, because it's your worldviews that's the problem than anything. It's not your lack of money. It's your worldview. I could do anything with any kind of money. The problem is with the second group, or those influenced like them, is that you don't really want to see this all fall down, and you're afraid. The reason why you want to see it all fall down is because you're afraid of what happens next. Let's ponder that. The reason why they don't want to give me no money, because you're afraid of what's God gonna do to this country. The reason why you don't want to really support me and get me up on my feet is because you're afraid of what God will do, what will happen, how destroyed this country will be if the prophet gets enough money to put in the church. If I get enough money to put in the church, you're afraid of what's actually going to happen to these people. You're afraid that the harvest from this seed, from this offering, will be too big and it will destroy the whole community. See, that type of community, that type of person is just sitting here. That's hopeless. I can't do anything with that, because really you don't want to help me to your full extent, because you're afraid of powerful spiritual manifestations. You see why this needs to be said? Because, listen, I'm not here to stimulate people's ears. I'm not here to stimulate your mind per se. I'm here to get a job done in this spiritual warfare, right? So before we go any further and even moving ahead consistently, I'm going to stop and note those who are not profitable in this spiritual warfare, and those who have it in their hands to do it but don't do it. We want to get rid of that kind of people, because listen, you're here but you're not here. You're here, and you know enough information to know I can change this situation. I could play my position to change the situation. I know you know that. I know you're out there. And you know that I manifest. You know I get manifestations. You heard about the fame on my life. You heard about specifically me getting all type of manifestations through Christ Jesus, not through me. And you decline to help because you don't want to see too much happen. You don't want to see too many heavy manifestations that might just tear up the whole community. And you know how many people it is out there like that. So what I want you to do, if you're on the outside, right, and you really don't really, you're just looking about and seeing what's going on, right? You're just looking about and seeing what's going on, right? You're just looking about and seeing what's going on. I want you to realize that all them people talking about me and who I am and how cool I am or whatever, woo, 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 right? Don't pay them no attention, because half of them are, first of all, aware of this information that I got spiritual manifestations and I can manifest spiritually. But those same people that's acting like I'm so cool or whatever, I'm some hero, superhero or whatever, those same people don't want to help because of this. They don't want to see what happens next if I give an offering too big. If they gave me $1,000, they scared to do it. They scared to give me $1,000. They scared to give me hundreds of dollars because they've already seen manifestation for less than that. So then that type of person, you see what I'm saying? I'm saying something. That type of person just sits back on me, right? Like we're in school, like we're teenagers, and you're just there to support me, but you're not, because really I'm trying to get this done like yesterday, right? I'm trying to get this done like yesterday. So like in my world, like I'm all about manifesting as much as we can. Now you see what I'm saying? That's like almost somebody fighting against you. That's not working. That's not working for me. I need people to understand, man. Listen, we about to break down this whole dilemma. This whole dilemma is about people being scared of spiritual manifestations from the prophet. And yeah, with group 1 and group 2. Remember, group 1 is the people that messed around and played around and found out, which is the gang stalkers, right? And all the people with them. Group 2 is those that seen the manifestations, but you like who I am, you believe in who I am, but because the manifestations is so heavy, out of this world, right? Where it's changing the whole city, where it's changing the whole community, where it's changing America, you're afraid to support me past $100. You're afraid to pass that threshold because you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to manifest on America. So then we get down to the issue. You halfway want to save America. You can say you halfway want to save your life. Listen, man, when you go into war, there is no such thing of trying to save your life per se. You're going after the objective, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to save my life necessarily. I'm going after the objective, and the objective is this: we are going to defeat these gang stalkers, right? And see, some people, this is how we find out how people are built, because are you willing to put your life on the line to defeat these people? See, Sun Tzu taught this in The Art of War, and I'm paraphrasing. Whatever army is not afraid to die, nothing is impossible for them. This is what Sun Tzu taught in The Art of War. I'm a student of Sun Tzu. You have to understand that you can't worry about what the future is going to be. You're not going to figure it out anyway. You're not going to figure it out anyway. You're not going to be able to predict it anyway. You're not going to have much of an effect on it anyway. So in my case, when you're here and you're not doing anything, I don't want you here. I don't want any supporters here. that specifically, this is the Pacific kind we gotta get rid of, because some of y'all don't know yet, and you gonna eventually, if you follow me, you're gonna see. But it's a specific kind of supporter that's here, and you already know that I get spiritual manifestations. You're already aware of it. Nobody don't have to spell it out to you. You follow me long enough, whether you're rogue people from the first group. Some of them are rogue people from the first group. You decided not to be part of the first group when you seen who I really was, and you seen I had manifestations. So you decided to kind of be a part of the second group, which is the people that believe in who I am, see who I am, understand who I am. That's part of the foundation of the second group. But you don't want to support, because subconsciously you know it's going to be too big. If you support the manifestations, it's going to be too big for this country to hang on and survive. You've already seen what happened for less than $1,000. It's a no-brainer. That now you see why. Because listen, if you're new to this, people have seen what I've done with church offerings that's less than $1,000. They seen everything change with less than $1,000. Now, can you imagine when people with all this money around here, if they thought to give me just a quarter of that, a couple $1,000s, how things would change? They're afraid of it. And so once they realized it, they became afraid when they seen what I could do with just a little bit of money. When they seen what I could do with just a little bit of money, they became afraid. I'm telling you what it is. This is why, listen, if you think I'm going to get into these emotionally sensational messages, nope. I'm going to stick straight to being practical, applicable, basically everyday life stuff, everyday things you can apply to your life, and real life and real stuff and real talk. That's all this is ever going to be. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not going to change for views. I'm not going to change for subscribers. I'm not going to sell out for none of that. You know, I'm going to keep it 100. And right now, what's on my heart right now today is the fact that all these people are rallying around, but they know, and they know you can manifest. They know you can do this. They know you can change this situation. But they keep talking about, oh, yeah, man, I wish this would change. I wish things would change. You know it can change. You have a person in front of you that you're aware of, that you know has spiritual manifestations. And I know you know that, because some of y'all are rogue from the first group, and you decided to have the mentality of the second group. Some of you have speculated long enough and spectated long enough that you did see manifestations, things you consider manifestations out of my life, right? But you still not supporting, because you don't want to totally destroy this community. And so then I don't know what you're doing. Oh, I know what you're doing. You want to you want us to come and dissect these gang stalkers from the rest of the community, but the rest of the community help these people. That's why this is why I settled it long time ago. America helped these people. Let's stop acting like it's some hope. Let's stop acting like America just this innocent people and we just gotta pick the wrong people out of this people. No. America helped these people. That's what I want you to understand. Okay? America helped these people. So why are you still trying to save them? Why are you still trying to preserve them? See, the reason why you haven't helped the prophet, man, I know it's people that can give me enough money. And if you really was against America, like you're supposed to be, because they helped the gang stalkers, you would just say, man, I'm going to just throw this money to them. I'm going to just throw this money to the prophet. I'm going to just see what happens. People gamble all the time. People gamble and spend money all the time and lose the money with no results. Nothing happens. So it's really just how you think. You don't really want to go all the way. If you did, you would just say, I'm going to take a chance. I already see them manifesting. I already see things manifesting spiritually. I'm going to just take a chance. but you don't want to see it go that far. So how far you want to go? You wanted to go as far as us trying to dig these people out of the community called gang stalkers, but everybody helped them. Everybody helped them though. That's what we tripping off of. So, but you want us to dig them out of people that helped them. That's why you have to keep up and progress with the situation. Now it's not, oh, we're pointing at the gang stalkers. No, we're pointing at all these Americans that helped them. Now that's a changing in who we perceive to be the enemy and who we perceive to deserve to suffer. We feel all these people deserve to suffer. That's how bad America became in these last days. They all deserve to suffer, yes. And how do we determine this? Is it every single person? When people say, "Oh, it's not everybody," that's the worst saying. That's the worst saying. I can't stand that saying. How is it ever going to be everybody, every single person? So then you're saying you made a cliche that's not reality. It could never be reality. It could never be everybody. So why say it's not everybody when it never could be? I can't stand that saying. It's not everybody. It's not all the Americans. It's not all of them. There's some good Americans here. There's some people that really help people. There's some people that really care about you. There's some people that really love you here in America. It's not enough of them to stop the spiritual war that we got going on. It's not enough good people to stop this spiritual war. See, this is the rules of engagement as far as military warfare. First thing you have to establish when you declare war is this. You have to establish to God. I've already declared spiritual war on the Americans. In order to do this, what you have to have two components. A significant type of attack, unique attack against you, and a significant amount of people against you. You see why gang stalking caused warfare, right? You see why gang stalking caused a war. Because before God, all I have, not before bishops and pastors and preachers and apostles, before God, all I have to establish is there's a significant amount of people against me. There's a unique type of attack being done against me. Those are the only two things I have to establish. Once I establish those things, those are the only two things I have to establish. Once they're established, now, based on that, saying it's not everybody is vague information at best. It's vague information at best, because it doesn't have to be everybody in God's sight. It doesn't have to be every single person. You think it's going to be every single person before God attacks America? Before God's wrath and vengeance comes on America, do you think it's going to ever be every single person that did something that was sinful and dark that God had a problem with? You think it's going to be every person here? No. So when God brings wrath, it's not going to be every person here that did something wrong in order for God's wrath to come. It don't take every person for God to respond. Think about what I'm saying. So why would it take me that? Why would I think that way if God doesn't think that way? Okay, so if you believe in God, do you think God is going to wait till every single person here in America does something wrong and does evil before he brings wrath on this country? You think he's going to wait for every single person here to do it? You think he's going to wait for every single person to do witchcraft or gang stalking or whatever? You think he's going to wait for every person to gang stalk before he brings repercussions for gang stalking? He's not. So all you become is a person that's like in their early 20s talking about it ain't everybody. Of course it's not everybody, but that's not even something to consider in this situation, whether moving forward into what's actually going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's not everybody. That's irrelevant information. It's irrelevant information that it's not everybody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't take that for something to happen. And so many of you got to mature and grow up real quick, because sitting back acting like it ain't everybody and looking to these few good people and thinking it's going to be held back because of a few cute kids and a few cute people and couples and a cute couple, I'm sorry, it's not going to be held back. You did not consider reality, which is God is going to respond without it being everybody involved. All it takes is a significant number of people for God to respond with his wrath. All it takes is a significant number of Americans to do the wrong thing. It's a significant amount, right? It's a certain amount that's just too many, right? Like the gang stalking. It's just too many of them, right? That significant amount of people is going to cause wrath from God. So now you see how silly it sounds to say, well, it's just not everybody. It's not everybody. It doesn't have to be everybody. It never will be everybody in the case where God responds with wrath. See, I'm speaking under the anointing now. It's not going to ever be. So it ain't no need to say, well, what about us over here? What about us over there? Because see, in a good country, you're supposed to have gatekeepers in your community, real gatekeepers, healthy gatekeepers, robustly healthy gatekeepers that keep charge over certain races of people in a whole country. We don't have gatekeepers over each ethnicity, and that's why people run wild and then say, well, it ain't all of us. It ain't all these black people. It ain't all these Hispanic and Latinos, but they ran wild, didn't they? Okay, so then you think God is going to wait for every Hispanic and Latino to play with his prophet and to play with his people? You think he's going to wait for every single one of them to do it? You think he's going to wait for every illegal migrant to play with me? You think he's going to wait for every illegal migrant to play with God's people before he bring wrath on Hispanic and Latino community in America for playing with God's people? Nope. He gonna wait for a significant number, like it already has been, as far as these Hispanic and Latinos in America that play with me and play with God's kingdom. He gonna wait for a significant number, and he's going to bring wrath on their community. See, they already blew it playing with a prophet. You already blew it. It's over for Hispanic and Latinos in America. It's over. Black people blew it too. See, you thought you could sit back off the strength of what you went through slavery, and you went through civil rights time. You thought that would take you all the way to the end of the world. I'm sorry, buddy. My idea is you don't have the same past that the civil rights movement people had. You don't have the same past because you're not the same type of people. You don't have the same mindset. You don't have the same heart. So why should we consider you like them? Why should you get the same recognition as them? Why should you be considered like them? Why should you get pass after pass and you're nothing like them? So now the prophet tells you the pass that you got off of Malcolm X and MLK from the nations and all these different countries, that time is over. You don't get no pass no more. Because now people are waking up and seeing that you're nothing like Malcolm X. You're nothing like MLK as a community. So you're just a whole different animal. You're a whole different type of community. And now, so when you reference back to, well, we're black, look out for us, we're black, stop doing this and stop doing that. No, you're a whole different people. So you get all different type of treatment. You see what I'm saying? See, that's how it works in the spiritual world. You done had years and years and decades to be like Malcolm X or MLK or people like that. You ain't nothing like that. So how long you gonna get a pass and be because of that, because of them? How long you gonna ride off they pass for what they did and how they was? And you living off of how they was. How long you gonna do that when y'all a whole different animal as black people? The time is over. So you don't get a pass based off of MLK and Malcolm X anymore. You're a whole different animal. You're a whole different generation. See, that's what you was riding off of. All the stuff from the past. Slavery, everything. But you a whole different animal, killing your own people, killing your own children. So how long you think God gonna consider you the same type of people? How long you think you gonna have a pass for being considered like that? That time is over. I'm telling you as a prophet, it's over. You do not get considered in 2026 going into 2027 like you, like Malcolm X and MLK and them type of people that think like that. But you don't live like that. But you're nothing like that. But y'all different animals like that. Listen, man, come on, listen. It's no need to point out who black people used to be anymore. It's no need to point out to me what you've been through. It's no need to point out anything about the past because you no longer have a past from the past that you can wave around in everybody's face. You came out here as a community and played with a prophet, and God is spanking you for it. And that's just, and you're no different from anybody else. You're human beings just like everybody else. To me, you're just another tribe of Africans. To me, it's many tribes of African all in the world. What's the difference? It's no difference. You just went through significant persecution here and tribulations and discrimination here, and that's what made you that part of that made people esteem you as more special than the average African tribe. But you're not the same people anymore, so you don't get acknowledged like that anymore. And that's basically it. You know, you can't come out here and gang stalk a prophet for fun trying to be savages. I know the mentality. And if you don't, that's how it is. If you listen and you don't know how the mentality is of these certain type of people, it's coming out here like y'all savages. It's coming out here like they savages, right? And God set them down. God's bringing his wrath on the African American community because they came out here like they were savages. But then they didn't want to play the whole position, where you get repercussions for what you do. They wanted to be bad. They wanted to be tough to the community and look cool to the community. But then they played themselves. Now because you played with a prophet, now you're trying to make it work, and it ain't going to work without no money. It ain't going to work. I don't even want it to work between me and you as a community without my money. Why would I want, as a grown man, why would I want it to work? When your mentality gone anyway, y'all killing each other anyway, I want my money. And because I ain't going to probably get it from you, listen, we ain't got nothing to talk about. We ain't got nothing to talk about. Now I deal with black people on an individual basis. That's how you know I'm not racist. See, if you're righteous and you're a righteous African, you deal with black people on an individual basis, not a collective basis. I don't deal with black people on a collective basis anymore. That time is gone. Because once you gang stalk me on a collective basis, why would I deal with you collectively? Now, how you know I'm not racist is because I still leave the door open for individuals that are African American and black, but they're nothing like these animals out here. Now, if I was racist, I'd close the door on everybody that's black. That's racist. Not racist is I still leave the door open for individuals. I just don't deal with the collective. That's the difference. And same thing with Hispanic and Latinos. They played with me for 3 years in my apartment when I was in Queens. They think I forgot. They think, listen, they must think I got short-term memory or amnesia. They thought I was simple and simple-minded, and thought I was gonna leave Queens on Astoria Boulevard and forget about all they did. You played with me and you gang-stalked me as Hispanic and Latinos for 3 years, right? All in the community, throwing witchcraft and everything. I know all about it. Trying to make it work, trying to put work on me, spiritual work on me, and it didn't work. Trying to put brujeria on me, Santeria, the brujos and the brujas using brujeria against me. I know all about that. But here's the repercussions. I don't deal with you collectively. I only deal with individuals from Hispanic and Latino community. I don't deal with collective Hispanic and Latino Americans in America. No, I do not. Because once you attacked me collectively, I have legal right to not deal with you collectively as a group. Think about, you see a group. You gonna deal with the same group? No. From that point, you're gonna pick people out the group and say, okay, I deal with that person, I deal with that person. But that whole group that just did what they did, how I'ma still deal with that? You see what I'm saying, right? So that's how things is up, man. It's up like that. Where God's people is basically not dealing with nothing but God's people, which is Hispanic and Latino Christians, African American Christians, righteous Africans, righteous Hispanic and Latinos, and everything outside of God's kingdom is kept at bay. See that part right there? We deal with people that's in God's kingdom from all those ethnicities, but everything outside of God's kingdom is kept at bay, and it has to be evaluated before we bring it in and respect it. So if outside of God's kingdom, I deal with people on an individual basis. If you cool and you Hispanic or Latino, you showing me respect like that, I don't have no problem with that. If you black and you showing me respect, I don't have no problem with that. But as far as just collective and just all out here that time is gone. We ain't all out here with everybody. See, this is how real it became, man. You know what I'm saying? See, people do stuff and they don't think nothing gonna happen about it. You know what I'm saying? So, all I'm trying to do, man, is just shut down this carnival, man, that's in America. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to shut it down. And like I said, it's people that know I'm successful in manifesting. They sitting back, you know what I'm saying, doing nothing. And we don't want that. I don't want that type of supporter anymore. If you know I can manifest, but you sitting back, right? But you act like you cool with me, and you act like you're here supporting me, but you know you could help, and you know that help would work, but you're sitting back though, and then you still act like you support me. We don't want that around here. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. So for God's true people, salute, over and out.